Yo, I'm Matthew Kingpin. I'm not going to waste much time with an introduction because you're here for the meat and potatoes of the video's title. We all know that Counter-Strike 2 has a massive cheating problem. You know it, I know it, hell, even Valve knows it. However, we also all know that asking for things like an intrusive anti-cheat or any number of other tweaks to the anti-cheat itself is a pipe dream at best. Valve has shown that they firmly want to keep the game strictly VAC secured with the Valve-owned anti-cheat's current iteration. To make things worse, even if VAC detects someone using a cheat program in a match, those cheaters tend to only get banned in massive waves, which is unfortunately the best bad solution to an extremely user-unfriendly scenario, i.e., getting cheated on in a game, either subtly or through blatant rage toggles. So the idea I want to propose to Valve and the wider community, assuming anyone sees this video at all, is to implement a social system that incentivizes people to excommunicate cheaters from their games through the kick system, rather than asking Valve to tweak their preferred anti-cheat system. So what is my proposal exactly? How would I go about implementing it, and why would it work better than what we currently have? The idea I came up with is to reward players with an extra in-game care package loot drop for every unique cheater they encounter in-game who they successfully vote to kick in their game who later becomes convicted. These packages would be referred to as an Integrity Award. These awards would come at the end of every ban wave cycle, and would have the same assortment of 1 crate and 3 random assorted items as the standard weekly drops. The player receiving the reward would be given 1 list of items for every individual cheater that gets banned, from which they can choose 1 singular item from each. These Integrity Award drops would only be given if the individual voted yes to kicking the cheater from their match, and would only be awarded if the cheater is on a Prime account. The reason for the latter distinction is to prevent fraudulent drop farming by using free accounts to blatantly get caught cheating. This would be offered for any cheater kicked and later caught in any game mode, including Premier, Competitive, Casual, and Deathmatch, and would be awarded upon the cheater receiving a conviction and after 72 hours of time. The time dilation is there to prevent a false ban that later gets repealed, rewarding items anyway. In terms of implementation, a huge problem with Premier right now is that even if a player wants to do the right thing and kick a cheater from their match, oftentimes they are unable to do so due to cheaters queuing with another player who will vote in the cheater's favor when a vote kick is called. Premier is plagued with queues of players being boosted, which is the act of 1 or more players partying up with a cheater who will illegitimately win matches to boost a queue mate's elo score, which means that they essentially grant themselves immunity from being kicked from matches. So in order to make my solution work, I'd call to disallow any parties from queuing Premier. This solution forces cheaters to queue solo if they intend to attempt to ruin a Premier match, greatly increasing the chance that once they attempt to ruin a Premier game by cheating, their teammates will see what they're doing and kick them appropriately, either because their teammates wish to have integrity by not winning through illegitimate means, or if intrinsic moral rewards aren't valued by any of them, because they simply want to reap the benefits of getting a small injection of cash value through the Integrity Award bonus drops they will receive once that player inevitably gets banned in the next wave. Even if a cheater doesn't get banned, either because of VAC not detecting their cheats or any other number of reasons, players will still want to kick these ruinous individuals just for the potential promise of receiving a reward. The cumulative effect of these changes would be that fewer people cheat, because now there's a lot more community incentive to roadblock cheaters by them constantly being vote kicked out of matches. Why would you solo queue a Premier match as a cheater if there's a good chance you'll just get voted off and gain nothing? Might not be able to ban them right away, but if we inconvenience them enough, eventually cheaters will just stop queuing. Nobody likes getting vote kicked. And if you're constantly being stopped in your attempts to ruin matches and boost your score, you're eventually just going to stop. You're going to give up. Now, why does this setup offer an immediate benefit over the current system Counter-Strike has implemented? I'd like to rebut a few criticisms I can see my idea getting. For those saying restricting Premier games to solo queuing would irreparably damage the ability to play the game with friends or the experience overall, the competitive mode would still be offered to anyone wanting to queue 5v5 with their pals. Premier is supposed to be an ultimate test of a player's ability to play the game anyway, correct? It makes sense to go solo and make the best of whatever team and map you get. The enemy team would have to do the same after all if everyone is a solo. Cheaters could of course play with stacked parties in casual or competitive, but the incentive of gaining a higher spot on the leaderboard only applies to Premier. The psychology of why people cheat is a very complex issue that I'm not going to cover in this video, but one of the reasons people decide to ruin the game experiences of other players is through ego and prestige. They want a higher rank to feel better about themselves. Global elites are the best of the best and looked up to. I want to be looked up to. It's an ego thing. There's no leaderboard incentive to cheat in casual, competitive, or deathmatch because there's no visual display of a player's skill level in those modes that other players can see. Even competitive ranks are map-specific and not shown to other players at the end of matches. An illegitimate player would have to blatantly cheat in every map to get a rank just for it to not be visible to anyone but themselves. Not every illegitimate player cheats for prestige, but there are quite a large number of them who do. Another criticism I can see people leveraging at my idea is that the value of items in the game's external community market would decrease due to the increased supply of these items being doled out as integrity award bonuses. My answer to this rebuttal is twofold. One, think of what one of the most universal criticisms of CS is right now within the community. It's the cheater problem. I don't want to queue the game because I don't want to play against a cheater. It isn't fun. If cheaters start getting ostracized through this system and the ability to play a premier match free of illegitimate players becomes widespread, a lot of people who have written off the experience will come back to play again. And because people are coming back to play the game, the increased player base will be able to use up the extra supply of cases and skins, supply and demand. People can and will open cases and buy skins if they are enjoying the game. This leads into point number 2, which is the prices of items are already falling in the market currently due in no small part to the cheater problem. Have you looked at the prices of items lately? A player base that doesn't play the game, due in large part because of cheaters, doesn't buy items. The vast majority of people who play this game buy skins because they want to play with them in-game. Collectors, while notable, are a minority of players, and rare items only hold value because they are desirable to those that play the game. If the game dies, there's no reason to care about any of the skins, because who cares about a rare 661 case-hardened blue gem AK in a game with no one playing it? Want an answer? Look at games with economies that have no one playing them. PUBG isn't a perfect example because its economic situation died for more reasons than just lowering player counts, but still, who cares about owning a rare skin in PUBG anymore? The answer to this question, and the previous one, next to no one. One reply I can foresee this system receiving is, this system doesn't matter because most people are just going to play FACEIT anyway. FACEIT, for those unaware, is a third-party matchmaking service with an intrusive anti-cheat that many players willingly opt into playing instead of matchmaking. This is for a wide variety of reasons, of course, but the number one reason for most people being it has a vastly more functional anti-cheat. Now, my response to this question is, if Valve makes Premier solo queue only, that is a huge advantage to FACEIT's current system. Want to know why? FACEIT only allows you to avoid playing against full stacks of parties with their paid subscriptions. Otherwise, you have to deal with the issue of potentially playing against full parties of players on their free versions. If Premier offers a way to play the game for free and not have to play against stacks of players as a solo, I know that will be enough to sway a good chunk of the user base back to queuing Premier. And because the integrity award system will directly reduce the number of cheaters in the game, the primary complaint of matchmaking having an ineffective anti-cheat will be greatly reduced in impact. Even if FACEIT changes their system to allow free players the same anti-party feature as the paid subscription, there would still be incentive to play matchmaking via the weekly drop from getting EXP and gaining a level. A lot of people who use FACEIT would much rather have the experience of playing the game through the actual game client, and this system would give them a good reason to come back to it. A potential issue I can see with this system is some players might become a bit trigger-happy with kicking players, alongside the issue of how vote kicking someone, even a cheating player, negatively impacts a player's trust factor score. To solve the former, just keep the current system of negatively punishing players for kicking too many other players. And to solve the latter, make it so that any hit to one's trust factor score is reversed for every person they kick who later turns out to be a convicted cheater. This would ensure that people only vote to kick when they are solidly convinced the individual they are kicking is cheating, beyond a reasonable doubt, sort of like Overwatch. Now, I'm sure my proposal isn't perfect. I'm sure it needs to be held up to scrutiny, peer review, testing, and all different kinds of rigorous examination before it's refined enough to be an effective solution. That's why I want as many people to contest the idea as possible, to debate what could be improved about it, preferably amicably. I made this video because I want to get my ideas out there. Counter-Strike is one of my favorite games, and to see it languishing right now because of uncontrollable circumstances genuinely makes me quite upset. I want the game to flourish. I believe my concept is a good way to help it do so. Thank you for listening. That's all.